Hello, and welcome to our first theoretical lecture. A good understanding of customers is extremely important for running a successful business. KYC, or Know Your Customer, is what actually makes all the difference for many companies. KYC helps them do their best in creating, communicating, and delivering their offerings by tailoring them to their customers' needs. And that makes customer analytics the most important part of both marketing analytics and the marketing function of a company in general. But understanding and meeting customers' needs is easier said than done. In fact, customer analytics is a very broad area. It may include a wide range of characteristics of customers and their behavior and numerous different outcomes and performance indicators that the business might be interested in. That's why, in this course, we've decided to focus on one of the most fundamental marketing frameworks, that of segmentation, targeting, and positioning, known as the STP framework. The STP framework is the most logical choice as it applies to all areas of business and marketing activities. The datasets that we'll work with come from a B2C business model. This means that the clients of our business are individual people rather than firms or institutions. And that's much better from a data science point of view, as we usually have more data points. Okay, the data we'll use throughout the course come from a fast-moving consumer goods, or FMCG company. A typical example of an FMCG marketplace is a supermarket. People visit supermarkets every day, and most types of goods in store are purchased daily too. Therefore, we have lots and lots of data available, making FMCG a perfect example for our customer analytics course. Great! Now that we've clarified that, let's take a closer look at the STP framework. It lays out the classical process of exploring potential customers and understanding them. The STP framework consists of 3 consecutive steps. S for segmentation, T for targeting, and P for positioning. Let's start with segmentation. Segmentation is the process of dividing a population of potential or existing customers into groups that share similar characteristics. The underlying idea is that, most likely, these groups will have comparable purchase behaviors. Furthermore, these segments would probably respond similarly to different marketing activities. For example, not everyone likes the same brand of chocolate candy bars. Moreover, not everyone can afford the same brand of chocolate. However, based on certain characteristics like income, age, and gender, we could divide our customers into segments where each segment prefers a certain type of chocolate. Marketers make the case that taste or spending habits are not the only behavioral features that could be generalized for a segment. In fact, people with the same segment may also respond in the same way to different marketing activities. Examples are TV advertising, online advertising, and promotions. Moreover, individuals from different segments may respond differently to each of these marketing activities. So far, so good. But what characteristics exactly do marketers use to perform segmentation? In general, the types of characteristics used for segmentation may be separated into 2 broad groups based on whether marketers are using consumer behavior data or not. Most often, especially in the process of new product development, consumer behavior data are not available. Therefore, marketers rely mainly on demographic and geographic customer data, age, income, education level, and others. In other cases, marketers can use psychographic characteristics. For example, some customers have a better planned buying behavior while others more impulsive. Alright, the second type of segmentation characteristics is much preferable. It's used when we have existing data for the customer's consumer behavior. For instance, historical data from purchases, how often customers buy, at what time they buy, what quantities they buy, product ratings, and many more. Usually, based on these specific criteria, we can divide the customers into much more representative segments. And in this course, we'll look precisely into that. Great. Once we have our segments, it's time for the second stage from the STP framework, targeting. Targeting involves evaluating the potential profits from each segment and deciding which segments to focus on. Marketers may decide to offer products to one segment, to all segments, or just to a selected few. They take into consideration factors such as segment sizes, expected growth, and competitors' offerings. This stage of the framework is also the point at which we decide on the different ways to promote our products. We can target one segment on TV and another online. Unfortunately, targeting activities are often focused on the qualitative examination of the consumer's perceptions. They involve psychology and usually budget constraints. Therefore, targeting goes out of the scope of this customer analytics course and into the advertising territory. All right. Finally, once marketers have decided which segments to target, we come to positioning. In positioning, the important question to answer is what product characteristics do the customers from a certain segment need? Or more like, what products can be offered to them that would have the characteristics closest to the ones they need? So we can say that positioning consists of implementing the targeting actions for the product. But positioning concerns not only the characteristics a product should have, but also how it should be presented to the customers and through what channel. In fact, this process is so important that it has a framework of its own called marketing mix. In this course, we'll learn how to perform the S&P parts of the STP framework. The first big part of the course will be devoted to segmentation of customers, while the second to positioning and more precisely to the marketing mix. That said, in the next lecture, we will explore the marketing mix in more detail. Thanks for watching. Hey! In the previous lecture, we talked about positioning and how it is implemented through the marketing mix. The concept of the marketing mix is to develop the best product or service and offer it at the right price through the right channels. In this course, we'll cover customer analytics that answers 3 fundamental questions about positioning and the marketing mix. 1. Will a customer buy a product from a particular product category when they enter the shop? 2. Which brand is the customer going to choose? 3. How many units is the customer going to purchase? These 3 questions outline 3 main components of the purchase process and examine how each of them is influenced by the marketing mix tools. These components are 1. The customer visits a store and decides whether or not to buy a product. 2. Provided that the customer had decided to buy a product from the product category of interest, the customer chooses which of the available brands to buy. 3. Lastly, the customer buys a particular quantity or number of items of the product from the selected brand. Okay, when talking about the marketing mix, there are 4 groups of variables: related to the characteristics of the product, related to the price of the offering, related to promotions, and related to the place or channel of the offering. Commonly, they are referred to as product, price, promotion, place, and are known as the 4 P's of marketing. Let's look at each of the 4 P's. Let's start with product. Product refers to the core attributes of the offering. The most important aspect here is the product features. For example, smartphones have features like display size, color, battery life, and so on. Let's take an iPhone, for instance. It has different display sizes and comes in several colors. Product design is another feature that falls under the product category of marketing tools. The iPhone has always been extremely sleek, easy on the eye, and pleasant to touch. It may not be the most productive smartphone on the market, but it definitely has one of the best designs, an integral part of Apple's strategy. Okay. Another important tool here is branding. It deals with the creation of names, logos, slogans, symbols, and designs. These are features which help a product be distinguished from others in the same category. For example, the iPhone is nothing more than a smartphone, but it's branded as an iPhone, not as an Apple smartphone. This particular device has a name of its own and is one of the most distinguishable products out there. Last but not least, decisions about packaging also belong here. Again, an iPhone comes in an immaculate box, which opens up smoothly and easily to reveal a sight of the product and product only, highlighting its design. To enhance that effect, all cables and instruction manuals are in a compartment below the product. Okay, the second P is price. Price has to do with everything related to the pricing of the offering. That is, first and foremost, how much the product costs. In addition, decisions about long-term price changes also belong here. Discounts are another important pricing tool, and, of course, any existing credit terms or other payment terms are considered a pricing tool as well. Either way, price is the most intuitive P, so we don't need to spend too much time on it. Instead, let's go to the third P, promotion. When you think of a promotion, you probably imagine some discount. In fact, promotion is a much broader term. It refers to how the product is being communicated or advertised. For instance, a commercial on TV, even without a price reduction, is called a promotion. Handing out flyers on the street is also promotion. Sending a Tesla into outer space is also promotion. In general, a promotion has two components: how the product offering is being communicated and the activities related to its actual size and communication. The two components of a TV commercial consists of the exact words that are going to be used in it to communicate the product and the actual process of contacting the TV channel, setting up the commercial, paying for it, and then generating sales through it. Some important decisions to be made here are what the messages should be and how often they should be communicated. Okay, now most of the promotions are actually sales promotions, known as merchandising. There are three types of merchandising: price reduction, display, and feature. Price reduction is the simplest to grasp because we notice it every day. A given product that used to cost $5 is now being sold for $2. Price reductions could also be more complex. They could be conditional on buying more units. For example, a promotion could consist of buying 2 chocolate candy bars and getting a third one for free, essentially providing a 33% discount. All right, what about display promotions? Display promotions happen when the product is situated in another selling location, different from the usual one where consumers can pick it up. For example, a particular brand of potato chips can be displayed at the front of the store or at the cashier. Or maybe you have a brand new car displayed in a shopping mall. Both of these are instances of a promotion, but with no price reduction. Finally, feature promotions happen when specific opportunities for product purchase are being distributed and presented to customers. For example, printed ads and newspaper inserts are feature promotions. Nowadays, those are more subtle though. For instance, there are action-packed movies in which all cool cars are exclusively one brand, like the James Bond movies, where 007 agent always drives an Aston Martin. Fantastic. So, we've come to the last category, place. In essence, it refers to the exact locations where the product will be offered or distributed. Distribution strategies can be grouped into 3 broad approaches: intensive distribution, selective distribution, and exclusive distribution. Let's use the chocolate bar example to elaborate on them. If we spread our chocolate bar brand across many different stores, then this is called intensive distribution. Coca-Cola is a great example of that. It's everywhere unless some specific restrictions apply. But what if the chocolate bars are only available at a few select stores? Usually, this can happen if our marketing team feels that these are the places where we've got the best chance of selling the product. In that case, we have selective distribution. A good example is an iPhone. You can find it in the Apple Store, tech stores, or other similar locations, but never in the grocery store. And finally, if only one selected brand is sold in the store, we have exclusive distribution. Basically, brands use it for luxury items and products to achieve a higher status image. For example, you can buy a new Tesla Model 3 only at Tesla. And if you truly want to convey a superstar status, you can purchase a new Rolex only at a Rolex store. Overall, all decisions about the exact locations where the product will be offered are the main part of the place marketing tools. And this is what the marketing mix tools are all about. In the next lecture, we'll discuss the differences between a physical and an online store. See you there. Alright, in our first lecture, we mentioned that we're going to focus on a consumption situation that takes place in a physical store and not online. In fact, the modeling techniques we're going to use in this course can be applied to online stores as well. Moreover, that's true not only for products, but also for services. While we'll focus on a physical store, it would be useful to briefly talk about the similarities and differences between the two. Okay, as we mentioned, we'll address 4 key questions in this course. 1. KYC, or Know Your Customer. So, who are the customers and what segments of customers are there? 2. Will a customer buy a product from a particular product category when they enter the shop? 3. Which brand is the customer going to choose? 4. How many units is the customer going to purchase? Let's look at the similarities and the differences between physical and online stores from the perspective of these questions. First, who are the customers and what customer segments are there? Well, first and foremost, the biggest difference pertains to the place component of the marketing mix. Physical stores have a specific location and online stores do not. This means that, as marketing data scientists, we shall expect to see a much lower number of customers shopping at a particular physical store than at an online store. The main reason is that physical stores are, well, physically restricted. For instance, Walmart has about 12,000 locations, while Amazon has 1. Of course, Amazon has been opening physical stores, but is far from 12,000 locations. Because, at the end of the day, almost all Amazon customers are concentrated at Amazon.com. A typical December for Amazon is equivalent to 3 billion visits of the website. On the other hand, a single Walmart location serves approximately 1/12,000th, or 0.008% of all Walmart customers. According to self-reported data, that's about 8,000 people per location per year. Okay, using the word location is no accident. Physical store instances are called locations because it is the location that defines them. For some product categories, particularly the ones that are being purchased often and regularly, such as most fast-moving consumer goods, the location of the physical store matters a lot. Therefore, we usually expect a lot of returning customers going to a physical store, usually people that live nearby. Okay, due to the much higher concentration of data in online stores, when it comes to data science, online stores are a goldmine compared to physical stores. Not only have we got more data points, but we also have much more diverse data about every customer. We can ask customers to provide all demographic characteristics we can think of: occupation, annual income or living area, and so on. Additionally, history of purchase behavior can be easily obtained. For instance, how often a client makes a purchase, what kinds of products they buy, what products they look at but don't buy, and much more. Alright, another major difference is related to returns and refunds. In physical stores, customers can see the product itself and not only images or videos of the product. They can even touch it or try it. This is why it is less likely that a customer returns a product bought in a physical store than a product bought in an online store. Therefore, we usually expect to see a lower number of returns in databases coming from physical stores. This more or less exhausts the difference in customers and their behavior. Now, regarding the second question, whether a customer will buy a product from a particular product category at a purchase occasion, we also observe some differences between physical and online stores. The main one is the purchasing history of a customer. In online stores, we have a database with all past purchases of customers, and we don't usually have such information in physical stores. The only way to store such information is if customers use a loyalty card at each purchase occasion. However, that's problematic because how often do you use your loyalty card for physical stores? Thought so. Store visits could be a great indicator of how likely it is for a future purchase to occur, though. Therefore, it can be a valuable feature when modeling purchase probability, which we'd like to get our hands on. Okay, let's move on to the third question. Which brand the customer is going to choose? Quite possibly, this is where the data available in online stores has the greatest impact. Why so? Well, for the online store, we may have data for all products that the customer has looked at, but gaining such information is impossible in physical stores unless we're spying on the CCTV the whole time. So we'd often assume that the customer has looked into all brands for a particular product, including their prices. For an online store, on the other hand, we'd know much better which competing products a customer has considered. This is one of the main reasons why online stores are a goldmine for data science. All right. With respect to our fourth question, or how many units the customer is going to purchase, we can say that we wouldn't expect significant differences in how we predict that for physical and online stores. That is, of course, apart from the advantages that the greater data availability in online stores gives us. Finally, there is some data that just can't be available in physical stores, but is the norm in online ones. A prominent example is customer ratings and reviews. Almost every online store gives customers the opportunity to review products, either by rating a product on a scale, let's say from 1 to 5, or by writing a review for the item. Both usually turn out to be significant features for predictive modeling. We all know that if 1,000 people rated something with 1 star, that is a complete no-no. This information is invaluable for online stores, but unavailable for physical ones. All right. In our next lecture, we'll explore prices and price changes in more detail. See you next time, and thanks for watching. Welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to introduce one of the most important economic and marketing concepts, price elasticity. In the broadest terms possible, price elasticity measures how purchasing behavior changes when the price changes. For instance, let's assume a bottle of Coca-Cola costs $1. If the price increases to $2, many people would stop buying cola, as it would be too expensive. On the other hand, if the price decreases to 10 cents, many more people are going to start purchasing Coca-Cola. The measure we use to quantify this phenomenon is called price elasticity of Coca-Cola demand, or price elasticity in short. Now, as you can imagine, if we assume that a Pepsi also costs $1 and Coca-Cola cuts its price to 10 cents, then most of the people that used to buy Pepsi would immediately transfer to Coke. If prices of Coke increase to $2 instead, people would likely stop buying Coke and turn to Pepsi. That is to say that there seems to be another important phenomenon, price elasticity of Coca-Cola demand with respect to the price of Pepsi, or the so-called cross-price elasticity. Now, in the first case, where we measure the elasticity of cola with respect to itself only, we call that own price elasticity, price elasticity of Coca-Cola demand, or simply price elasticity of Coca-Cola. However, in the second case, where we've got two products, we must say the whole name, price elasticity of Coca-Cola demand with respect to the price of Pepsi, in order to be sure that there will be no confusion. All right, now that we have an idea about what price elasticity is, let's discuss it in economics terms. Price elasticity stems from the basic economic law of supply and demand. The cheaper the product, the higher the demand. The more expensive the product, the lower the demand. Simple as that. It is extremely important for business, though, because there is a sweet spot which maximizes revenue. Since revenue is equal to the price times units sold, we can use this price elasticity concept to find the point at which price times units sold is optimal. Okay, but how does this look in mathematical terms? Well, price elasticity is the percentage change of an economic outcome of interest in response to a 1% change in the respective price. Usually, that economic outcome of interest is the number of units sold. Let us denote the economic outcome of interest with Y and price with P. Then, the price elasticity of the Y must reflect the percentage change in Y in response to a 1% change in the P. We can obtain that by taking the percentage change of Y and dividing it by the percentage change in P. Well, the percentage change of Y is the difference between its present and past value, divided by the past value. Similarly, the percentage change of price is the difference between the present and the past price, divided by the past price. Okay, now let's tie price elasticity to the subject matter of our course. Remember, we're going to address 3 questions related to economic outcomes of interest. 5. Will a customer buy a product from a particular product category when they enter the shop? 6. Which brand is the customer going to choose? 7. How many units is the customer going to purchase? These 3 questions boil down to the estimation of the following economic outcomes of interest. 1. Purchase probability. 2. Probability for brand choice. And 3. Purchase quantity. Naturally, we would be interested in price elasticities of each of these economic outcomes. So we'll look at 1. Price elasticity of purchase probability. 2. Price elasticity of probability for brand choice. And 3. Price elasticity of purchase quantity. Okay, it's time to see why we need each of them. What can we expect when we calculate the price elasticity of purchase probability? Well, there may be a lot of different brands with different prices for the same product category on the market. For instance, the price of different brands of beer. Suppose we can calculate an aggregate price for the whole category. The law of demand says that the greater the price, the lower the quantity that customers want to buy. So, if the aggregate price increased, the probability of purchasing a beer would decrease. And calculating price elasticity will show us how much exactly. What about price elasticity of probability for brand choice? Well, that's the most interesting one. And it's the most important one for marketers as well. If you're working for Oreo, you'd be interested in the Oreo brand, not in the aggregate biscuit sale across the board. That's why all marketers' efforts are devoted to influencing customers to choose namely their brand over competing brands. Similar to purchase profitability, we can assume that if the price of a product from a given brand increases, the brand choice probability for that brand decreases. Again, calculating price elasticity of brand choice for a brand with respect to the price of that brand would show us exactly how much. Accordingly, if another brand increases its unit price, the brand choice probability of the brand of interest would increase. This is precisely the Coca-Cola Pepsi example we started with. Such elasticity calculations will show us how much the brand choice probability of our brand would increase with a 1% increase in the price of a competing brand. Nice skill to have, isn't it? We'll learn how to do that and even more. Finally, we'll discuss at length price elasticity of purchase quantity. As you might expect, following the law of demand, the greater the unit price of a product, the lower the quantity that is going to be purchased. For a car, the difference may be from 1 to 0. If the price of a Tesla is acceptable to us, we will buy 1 unit. If it isn't, we won't buy any. Alternatively, if we're considering, let's say, avocados, depending on the avocado price, we may decide to buy 0, 1, or even 10 avocados at once. Calculating the price elasticities will show us exactly how the purchase quantities move with the change in price. I bet you're impatient to see how all this is done and learn to do it yourself. Well, let's get to it. To do all this, we could use many statistical software packages, such as SPSS, SAS, and R. Here, we choose to use a statistical computing environment which is widely used, has growing popularity, and indicates it has the potential to become the most popular amongst data scientists: Python.